Footsteps in the Half-Light. The year 1872 was a very long time ago. The Jesse James gang was still robbing banks in 1872, and that is 8 years before the first electric light bulb was marketed by Thomas Edison. He hadn't even invented it yet. It was a time of gas lighting and horse-drawn carriages. The venerable Model T Ford wouldn't roar into the scene until more than 30 years later. 1872 also happens to be the year that our home was built. It's a cool experience living in a home that was around long before any human being alive today was even born. Have you ever heard of someone being described as having baggage? It usually has a negative connotation, but I don't think that's right. I mean, yeah, there is negative baggage, like the middle-aged woman that has 5 kids by 3 different men, a half dozen or so failed marriages, and a lifelong struggle with alcohol and drug abuse. That's bad baggage. Can't there be good baggage, too? Like a person that doesn't find their soulmate until after they graduated college or rising in their chosen field and already own their own home? Maybe we shouldn't call it baggage, just history. We all have a history, some good, some bad. Our home does too. Our home's history is not a scary history where there are murders or a hidden torture chamber in the basement. It's not a nationally recognized history like being the birthplace of a president. It just has a very specific history that is important to me. My home has been in our family for more than 70 years. It's the place my father was raised and where my grandmother lived until she was 99 years old. It's the place we visited as kids and chased rabbits that were trying to eat Grandpa's garden in the backyard. We caught lightning bugs in jars later in the evening. It's the place with the spooky staircase going to the attic and the wonderful food served in the dining room. One of the cool things I recently discovered is that our home gets a senior citizens discount on insurance. No, really. We have USAA insurance, and I just recently got my homeowner's policy renewal packet. They list a yearly discount of nearly $100 due to our home's age. I thought maybe they had made a mistake, but a couple pages later, they have the home's age listed correctly as being currently 145 years old. Maybe the insurance company figures that if our home hasn't been destroyed by some calamity yet, it isn't likely to. I don't know, but I do like a discount. It's a testament to the care that our home received over the years when you see how many of the supposedly obsolete systems are still functioning well and in use today. Non-electric space heaters are not used as a primary method of heating in newer homes, but the antique gas heaters kept us comfortable last winter. My relatives tell me this past winter wasn't a real Western New York winter. With global warming, will we ever get the cold and snow of the past, or is this the new normal? I don't know. All I know is that the 50-plus-year-old heaters did a great job this year. Our home does need work. Age takes its toll on all things. Foundation work, a new electrical system, and even replacing the space heaters with a central heat and AC unit are all in the plans. Having to fix things is an expected experience when you choose to live in an older home. I feel like it is my opportunity to add to our home's history. I want to do it right. I want my part of our home's legacy to be a good chapter. One of the first things upon moving to our ancestral home was to start planting things in the backyard. For the last 5 or 6 years, we have been living in an apartment. I was excited to get my hands dirty and enjoying the escape from the stifling heat of Columbia, South Carolina, which is sometimes referred to as the sweaty armpit of the nation. My grandfather had a garden, and we truly are enjoying Grandma's beautiful daffodils that came up all around the house this spring. My love of growing things is apparently genetic. Planting things in the yard is very exciting. It's part planting and part amateur archaeological dig. It's a thrilling treasure hunt to see what you might find next. This home has been around since 1872, meaning for 145 years, kids have been playing in the backyard. My first treasure was a marble. Could it have been my dad's? Maybe it belonged to one of his 2 sisters. Next up was a porcelain leg from a doll. I showed it to my aunts, but they couldn't definitively claim it as one of theirs. We all had fun trying to identify the melted glass thingy. My aunt figured it out. It was a vacuum tube that had been obviously disposed of in the normal manner of the time, into a burning barrel. I found a purple glass bead. My grandmother's favorite color was purple. Could it have been one of hers? A strange spinning top that has 6 sides all labeled like dice. It's hard to see, but all my treasures are right there in front of you in the small fish-shaped bowl next to the purple candle. Soon I'll have enough marbles for a game. Do you think houses carry spiritual baggage? It was a strange experience entering our home as an adult and moving into it. Until that time, I had mostly stayed there as a child. When I was a child, some things were off limits, like Grandma and Grandpa's bedroom. I felt a little like I was misbehaving when me and my wife took over their bedroom as our own. I spoke in soft tones and had the distinct impression that I was being watched. I believe in the spirit realm, even if I regularly fail in my attempts at communication. I've tried, many times. My repetitive, varied attempts to co-opt mystical intervention in the winning of the lottery all have been miserable failures so far. Still, hope springs eternal. I'm committed to taking classes this summer at Lilydale to advance my understanding, open new doors, and learn new methods of communing with ethereal beings. Fairy power. I haven't tried to use fairy power to win the lottery yet. Perhaps the wee little people hold the key. I'll keep you posted. Even if my attempts at direct communication have failed so far, I cannot deny that I do have some sensitivity to spiritual presences. My grandmother, a devout Catholic, lived in our home for about 70 years. I sense her presence daily. A disbeliever might point out the crucifix and religious pictures still hanging prominently throughout the house. There's even a holy water dispenser beside the front door. A skeptic might ask, how could you not feel her presence with all the talismans still hanging around? That's a good point. Eventually, we will be forced to remove all the ancient plaster in order to perform all the work that the house requires. The crucifix and pictures will all be photographed, packed carefully, and eventually returned to the spots where they hang today. The religious artifacts aren't the reason I feel my grandmother's presence, but they will remain as a way to let her know that her spirit is welcome and to honor her memory. I know she is present because there's more to the story. Waking, snuggled in a comfortable bed, when you don't need to get up is a wonderful feeling. You just get to squirm in the comfy warm blankets and enjoy the beginning of a new day. About a week after we moved in, I woke earlier than usual. I could hear the calm, regular breathing of my wife, still fast asleep. I could see by the half-light peeking around the edge of the curtains that it was still very early. Then I heard the footsteps. Upstairs. Slow. Rhythmic. Unmistakable. They started at the top of the stairs above the bathroom and got louder as they went over my head and continued to the far end of the house. It was an odd feeling. You would think if you were awoken and heard footsteps inside your home when there wasn't supposed to be anyone other than you and your wife present, that would make you think that there was a burglar. I instinctively knew that the sound wasn't made by a criminal. I knew that there was no reason for a search. No one had broken into our home. I don't know what spirit was checking on us. Maybe it was Grandma. Maybe it was Grandpa. It wasn't a scary feeling like people get in the movies. It was comforting. I've told this story to people and received many comments and a couple eye rolls. The most oft-speculated explanation is of a squirrel on the roof. We've been here almost a year now. Many squirrels have run over our roof, yet none have come close to duplicating the sound of footsteps in the half-light. Thanks for listening. Maybe I'll do this again sometime.